Hey guys, this is the tutorial for your avatar project. I'm going to show you a very basic version of putting together an avatar, and it'll end up looking something like this. With those skill building activities that you did before that, hopefully you can see the possibilities of making this um, more unique and a little bit more sophisticated. If you want to make, the eyes um, more realistic, I highly encourage that. But you're going to have time at the end. I just want to give you guys the basics and getting it set up to start with. So first thing we're going to do is go to File and New, and we're going to create a new document. And we're going to use a letter size preset. If you don't see that, you can go under the Print tab, and it's the very first one. So letter, make sure it's a portrait orientation, and click Create. So the first thing you want to make sure you do before you get started making your shapes, we do not want to fill right now. We want to just be working with an outline. So we're going to get rid of that by clicking down here and putting the red slash through it to clear out that fill. And we're going to leave this one alone for right now. And now you need to decide what shape your avatar is going to be inside of a shape. So mine kind of looks like an icon or like a button. But if you want to have a star or a triangle or whatever you envision, that is completely up to you. And I am okay with whatever shape you want to make. All of them are going to be behind here though. So right now mine is the ellipse tool. Oops. Right click, rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star, all of them are under here. So if you want to circle like me, then this is what you're going to do. You're going to hold the shift key, you're going to click and drag so that your circle doesn't get wonky, still holding the shift key, and you're going to make a pretty decent sized shape, whatever it is you're using. That takes up most of the page. We don't want it to run off the page or be right up against the edge, but about like there. About that size is good. So if you notice, this isn't a very defined outline, and cartoons typically have a pretty thick outline. So we can change that. We can make it a selection, select your circle or your shape, and you come over here to the panels. We're going to click on the stroke panel. And this will give you the stroke weight option. I'm going to make it a 6. And you see how drastically that changed. And just because we're here, when we cut the shapes, we want it to have like a rounded edge. We don't want it to look like harsh like this. So you can click on the round cap while we're here. And then I can collapse that if I want to. So there's my shape. I need to start putting my head in there. So come back down to the shape tool. This time select the rectangle. You don't have to hold shift for this one. You're just going to click and make a rectangle that's about that size. All right. So what we're going to do is you can kind of see like it looks kind of centered, but it's not. I know it's not quite centered. And I want my head to be centered inside of my circle. So I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm going to make a selection around the circle too. So I have the rectangle and the circle selected. And then if you come up to the align panel up here in the options, you can select the horizontal align center. And you see it like shift slightly. So now my rectangle is centered inside of there. So click off of that, clear out your selection, and then just click on your rectangle. And this is new. I don't believe we've done this yet. You're going to, these little dots in the corners are called widgets. And you're just going to click and drag one of them until it all turns red. So you can't go any further, and then let go. And then if you click off of it, that looks like a pretty good start to a head for a cartoon. And then we're going to make a neck. So go back to your rectangle tool and we're going to make a smaller rectangle. That's about like that. So it's going to overlap a little bit. If you haven't done so already, if you go to view and make sure there's a check next to Smart Guides, this is going to help you there. So the Smart Guides are those lines that tell you. So this is telling me it's now centered, which is what I want. So we're going to ignore these top two. We're not going to curve all of them. We just need these bottom two to be curved. So we're going to do this slightly different. So these on these widgets, I'm going to click this one and I'm going to move it so you can see. So you see how this one's different. This one is like a blue ring with a white circle. So that's the active one. And I'm going to bring that into the center. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click and then I'm going to click and drag until this one turns red. Okay, so if I get my selection tool, you can see, so now I have the curved bottom of the neck. We need to get rid of this one now. And hopefully you remember from your practice that there's a couple easy ways to do it. There's several ways to do it. I like using the shape builder tool. So we're going to make sure you have the selection tool. You're gonna select the head and you're gonna select the neck. So all shapes involved need to be selected. And then you're gonna come over to your shape builder tool. And you see over the areas, it turns gray. If I hold the Alt key, that gives me, see there's a minus sign in it. If I click on there, it doesn't do anything because we have no fill. There's no shape in there. But if I come up here and make the line red and click while I'm holding Alt, then that line gets cut. Easy as that. So now I have a head and a neck, and I'm going to make shoulders. There's a couple ways to do it. You could do it with the arc tool. You could do it just for more practice with the shape builder if you want to get the ellipse tool again, and we could make a circle. This is how I did the other one. I was trying to figure out the best way to do it. This is kind of, I'm sure you guys have learned by now that there's several ways to arrive at the same result in this program. So there's, if you're more comfortable doing it one way than another, have at it. So so this is going to represent my shoulders. And it overlaps, and I need to get rid of this line, and I need to get rid of all of this over here. So I'm going to make a selection, and first I'm going to get rid of this one. So my big circle is selected and my neck is selected. Shape builder, hold the Alt key, click on the line, remove it. Go to my selection tool. This time I need this circle, and then I also need my outer shape circle to be selected. And I'm going to get rid of this down here. Shape builder, hold the Alt key, click on the line. There we go. Okay, so now this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time, is doing the features. So I'm going to show you, this is going to end up being a couple videos. So for this first one, I'm just going to show you very basic ways to get your features on there. So if I go to the ellipse tool again, I want to change my fill, and I want it to be black. I can just put 2 dots because that's the most basic way to make an eye, right? You guys have all done that. And I can copy and paste them, so I have 2. And then my Smart Guides will tell me when it's intersected, when they're kind of lined up. But I would also want to, for craftsmanship purposes, I would want to make a selection around both of these, probably group them together. And then do that same thing. Go to a line and then horizontal. Oops. So make sure you have what you want to align it to also selected. And then align, horizontal line. So you see it shift slightly. And then that makes it easier. So if I needed them to go down a bit, they're grouped together. Easy enough. Okay. So the next thing, we'll make some eyebrows, a nose, and a mouth. Really, really simple. Ellipse tool, again, make sure that's what you have. Clear out your fill. We don't want to fill. We just want to circle. So I'm going to just do it anywhere. I'm going to click or hold the shift key, drag a circle out, and then I'm going to get my direct selection tool. And then these anchor points, I'm going to click and I'm going to delete 2 of them. So then this is what I'm working with. Get my selection tool. See, it's kind of tiny. Oops. Let me go back a step. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm going to bring it down here. And I'm going to need to rotate this about 45 degrees or whatever you deem to be appropriate for yours. Yeah, I still need to rotate it. Sometimes the smart guides. Okay. So if I click off of that, maybe I need to bring it down a little bit. So the good thing is once you have it, you can just copy and paste it. Bring it to the other side. I think I still need to rotate mine a bit. So you can see, you can really spend a lot of time fiddling with this idea. For a nose, you're just gonna make the same one as your eyebrows. You're just gonna flip it upside down, and you can have the nose in there. Mine got warped a little bit, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna spend the time and fix it for the video. But if I were you, I would. I can see it a little bit. So simple nose, a mouth. Select your nose, copy and paste it, and just make it a bit bigger. So when we hit that, when I showed you guys to hit that round cap, that's why these edges are like nice and round rather than harsh and like cut off. So pretty basic, pretty simple. The next thing I would do, if you wanted to add ears, you would just only click on one of those. So if I wanted to, let me show you really fast. So I would go like that. And with the direct selection tool, I would just remove one and then move it down and rotate it for an ear. If you can see your ears. Maybe you can't see your ears. I could reflect that also. Make it easier. Okay, and then, well, we want it to not be overlapping so much. My weight went up in there on my line weight. I would go back and actually fix that. Make it 6. Making the ears look quite a bit off. So yeah, and then the next thing would be to do your hair, which I will show you in the next video because I only have 15 minutes at a time to make a video. So start the next video for hair and shadows and color.